All right, Ryan, it's so exciting to have you here today talking about foam. So let's start with a high-level question. Where is the deep-in machine PHY industry right now?
Right now, I think it's kind of like a big kind of wave came and one's just like washing out, where for the first time, it's kind of been proven that you can build new kinds of networks with new kind of incentives. And, it's now for the first time everyone's maybe waking up to that idea, but it seems like now is the time to figure out, the details of the right incentives, the right, anti-cheating mechanisms, the right emission schedules, and really kind of going back to the drawing board and rethinking how we can get the next wave to come.
It's getting real now.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about foam specifically. What problem are you guys solving?
So specifically what we're solving, just to get down to it, is that we want to provide secure location proofs that can be used on blockchains and interact with smart contracts. Taking a step back from that, essentially people usually utilize GPS for location. Works great to tell you where you are. It's very easy to cheat and lie about the system because there's no source of truth in it. So we're working with custom radio deployments that can deploy in specific areas to offer a zone of coverage to do kind of time synchronization over the air that results in localization, similar to how GPS works. But the difference is then a user or a machine can actually interact with that over radio and sign a cryptographic message, have their location determined, and then have that information be used on chain, trigger a smart contract, trigger a payment, be used for some future proof.
So why can't this application be done in Web 2? Why do you need Web 3?
Well, it could be done in Web 2, and we see some like enterprise companies kind of like working on offering an alternative or backup to GPS, but then they really rely on having a single client. So they maybe get a port, and they offer that service in one port. As soon as the truck leaves the port, you kind of don't have that service anymore. So when you think of it from an open network point of view, we might start with really targeted locations, but as the service becomes more needed, it's an open network. You can use incentive models to then expand that network, and it has the opportunity to actually grow and be overlapped with other use cases, where if it was singularly Web 2, you're kind of like just signing a contract and you just get this one location, and maybe you're generating revenue, but it's not able to kind of mesh and grow out and be utilized by many kinds of industries.
So let's talk about the incentive alignment. You have a token. Why do you have a token, and how does it work?
When it comes to proof of location, the intention of the token primarily is to be used on the supply side of the network by the radio deployers. And so to be a zone operator, they would be staking into a service level agreement smart contract, essentially attesting that they're going to maintain time and space correctly and not cheat and kind of come to consensus and make their logs available for kind of inspection. And so by being in that service level agreement, it'll initially make them eligible for foam mining rewards as an early kind of incentive, but then also to accept fees from users who want to actually generate proofs from their system. So that's primarily what our token is used for.
So let's talk about right now, today. You guys have come a long way over the last 4 or 5 years. What's the state of your network from a developer standpoint, from an adoption standpoint?
Yeah, so we've kind of see ourselves right now as coming out of a pretty long research and development period. We're using custom hardware, so we've been designing a plug-and-play model, building firmware, kind of like back-end and even a front-end app. And earlier last year, we've launched our first time a beta program, where it was the first time people outside our company were getting hands-on radios. And we have about like 14 teams across the country and one in Ibiza that are actually testing our radios. And that was really on stress testing, just the radio component and the localization component, testing things like max distance, obstructions, what have you. So we are still in that beta and kind of wrapping it up and moving towards what we see as an MVP of this end-to-end proof system, of how these proofs could be generated, how we could integrate zero knowledge attestations, how this information can actually get on chain. So that's kind of what we're focused on right now, as we also have this growing network of beta participants.
How many participants did you say?
We have about like 15 teams.
15 teams.
15 teams, but like 50 plus radios deployed.
Okay, so this is not for your average person to use.
This is for someone who really wanted an early stake in the foam project, who was like super enthusiastic, and we had a range from hobbyist all the way to like telco providers like in Ibiza that already had all the infrastructure, roof mounts, backhaul, and were able to kind of like get set up quickly. And we've had some more people who are just really enthusiastic about the project and find some places just to test to help the research and development along, kind of like opening up the R&D we saw that aspect as.
Is the long term to get to the average user, or this is always going to be for more technical folks?
Definitely more like professionalized for like the core of a zone that you really need these like at least 4 that have really great line of sight, what have you. But a zone can grow from there. It can have 5, 6, 12 radios participating in it, and those don't need to see the rest as well. So it's definitely more like zones will kind of be like seeded by more professional deployments, but then similar to other projects where they're trying to get as many people as possible, it definitely could be possible someone adds like more of like a, not the most optimal location, but it does contribute some percent to helping the zone localize everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to be here.
That's fun.